Greetings and salutations. Today we're going to be replaying or resimming the rivalry between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in college. Here's Larry Legend. Decided to put him on Indiana because that's where he was originally supposed to go to school, and we'll get Magic versus Bird matchups. Bird's roster doesn't look too good as compared to Magic Johnson's here. It looks pretty good, so kind of already telling of how things are going to go. Going to have to switch Magic to the small forward here just because this is a very guard heavy roster that we have for Michigan State. But here's Magic Johnson. He's really kind of set up like a point forward anyway, so I think it'll work out well for him. Heading into game one, here were some of their stats for the season. Now we'll also check out some box scores here. Matchup between Michael Beasley and Larry Bird here. Michael Beasley coming out on top rather comfortably. A pretty bad look for Bird in my opinion, but he would rebound pretty well against Illinois State. And then again in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, putting up pretty good numbers. Now this right here, this is what we expect out of the sim. Larry Legend showing you his namesake. 46 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, 14 of 27 from the field. This is what we expect to see from him in the sim. Bird would continue to have good games. Didn't win them all, particularly this game against UConn, but going into the first game against Magic, awesome game against Wisconsin. No other way for Magic Johnson to start off his college career in this sim other than in Madison Square Garden. So that's how we tipped it off here. Pause, no diddy. And he would have a big game here, and he'd parlay that into another big game here. And we're seeing a trend here with Magic Johnson. Big game after big game after big game. Magic Johnson would just continue to have these big games, and this sim's really right now opening my eyes to how important or how impactful the point forward can be in this legacy mode. And now we get to our first matchup between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in this college career resimulation. It'll take place in Assembly Hall as Larry Bird gets an easy basket and he's posting up. Dribble. Ooh, Hakeem. Ooh, Larry the Dream or Larry Legend? Let's see. And Magic strikes back here. And Magic Johnson would just continue striking back. He really took over this game at this point the game still stayed somewhat close, but look, and one defense, entire defense collapsed on him. It never, score stayed close, but this play right here is going to sum up how in control of the game he was. Magic Johnson hitting and one three-pointers as they would dominate this game, win pretty comfortably, double digits. But it was the Drew Neitzel show. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I remember him from back when he played in a game with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. He was a player of the game, dropping 27 points. A lot of that was Magic just kind of controlling the game, getting assists that kind of inflated his stats. Also getting hockey assists. So I'm trying to tell you guys, if you're doing a legacy mode, this point forward is, they're money. And that was for first place in the Big Ten. Right now, Michigan State has the lead, and it looks like it's going to come down to whoever can lead their team to victory in game 2 of Magic versus Bird. And Larry Legend says, hey, look, you may have got me once, but you're not going to get me again. He comes out the gate firing in game 2. He was hitting all kinds of shots, really showing his versatility as a 3-level scorer. But at the end of the day, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Magic Johnson and the Spartans blow out Larry Bird and the Hoosiers. Magic Johnson had himself a day, 27 points, 7 assists. I'm telling you guys, point forwards are a cheat code in this game. Bird is essentially being used as a stretch four, and he had himself a day too, so they're good players in this game, but Michigan State would take home the regular season Big Ten championship. Magic Johnson would end up leading the Spartans to the Big Ten championship game. I picked out this one play here because I think it sums up what's going on in this game more than anything else. They end up losing by double digits to a team that they really shouldn't have lost to. And who is this guy? I can't remember if that's like Aaron Craft or something Diebler, I forget, but man, he made Magic Johnson look like he did not belong on the court. And now we will shift our focus to the NCAA tournament, where Larry Bird gets bounced in the first round by St. Mary's College. Ouch, that's got a sting. Meanwhile, Magic Johnson is kind of gliding through the first two rounds, and he matches up with Kentucky in the Sweet 16, Clemson in the Elite Eight. Both wins for Magic Johnson, and now he's getting ready to face the Louisville Cardinals. A lot of big name schools he's faced in this run, first with Kentucky. And they would end up beating Kentucky's rival, Louisville, as well. Magic Johnson had himself a day, 33 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 8 steals. He's pretty much a lock for the Final Four MOP at this point. And he would end up locking up that award in the next game, getting player of the game as well in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome. 22 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal for Magic Johnson as he delivers a championship to Sparty. He was also able to deliver all season long. His first team All-American, freshman All-Conference, first team All-Conference, and freshman All-Conference. Larry Bird would be the Conference Player of the Year in the Big Ten, the Conference Freshman of the Year, also make first team All-Conference, as well as the Freshman All-Conference team. Here in year number 2, as we start off, I really feel like I'm doing Larry a disservice. This is not a good roster. He probably won't have as good a year, and this is what's going to set him up for the next couple of years in the sim. Meanwhile, Magic Johnson, who started with a great team, I was also able to bring him in a good player in Bridgewater that's going to help him out a lot. Despite my lowered expectations, Bird and the Hoosiers performed well, leading into Game 1 against Magic and Sparty. Magic would match the performance of Bird leading into their first matchup this season and play really well heading into the game. Now, we know how important these games are because essentially the two games that Indiana and Michigan State played against each other last season, they determined our Big Ten regular season conference champion. That was Michigan State, as they won both of those games. And right now, it looks like the Hoosiers may take up that mantle this year. Michigan State trying to claw back. Magic Johnson doing everything he can to help put Michigan State out in front and come back here against the Hoosiers. But does he have what it takes? And it will take a very valiant effort. They were down as much as 16 points at one point, but now it's 2 points. It's a 2-point lead that Indiana holds at home against Michigan State. Magic Johnson can pull this off. It would be one of the greatest comebacks, but a dagger by Indiana here, unnamed player. I can't remember who that was in real life, but Magic Johnson hitting the 3 to put it back within 4, and another 3 by Magic Johnson. Indiana's keeping their lead off free throws, and Clink's front iron cannot get the shot. Larry Bird gets his first win of the simulation against Magic Johnson, and I guess well-deserved. I mean, they did lead the entire time, but Larry Bird didn't play his particularly best game. 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He did have 3 steals and a block, followed up by somewhat inconsistent play by both Larry Bird and the Hoosiers. But going into the second game against Magic and Sparty, he did dominate against Minnesota. Magic Johnson would lead Sparty on a tear after the loss to Indiana, seeking to reclaim that number 1 spot in the Big Ten, and they do. They have the lead in the standings. You know, Magic Johnson would love nothing more than to win 2 Big Ten regular season championships to Larry Bird's 0 in their first 2 seasons. But just because that's something Magic would love, that doesn't mean Larry's gonna go out soft. He's not gonna go out like J. Cole did a couple weeks ago and apologize. He's gonna go out swinging. But that's okay. Magic Johnson, if he's gonna go out, he's gonna go out swinging too. So we're gonna have a battle on our hands here. Both guys hitting jump shots and layups, really showing their entire repertoire here in the game. Larry Bird with the pull up, and Magic Johnson just so good at getting to the rim, so good at getting others involved. Bird, cold-hearted sniper, he could shoot, but at the end of the day, Michigan State would pull this out at home. And if I'm questioning whether or not Larry deserved the last game that he won, Magic definitely didn't deserve it after shooting 2 of 12 from the field. But hey, he's got a better team, and his team won. Magic would need a better team, as he would end up going out with an injury 20-something days, but late in the season, so he's not going to be able to play until the second round of the tournament. Meanwhile, Larry Bird leading the Hoosiers to the Big Ten Conference Tournament Championship game. Larry with the dish here to his big man, and he's also finding ways to score here. Can he lead the Indiana Hoosiers to their first championship, hang their first banner in his tenure? And you see, he's not just getting straight up assists, he's impacting the game the same way Magic does with the hockey assists there, and he's continuing to score and score at all 3 levels of the game as Indiana blows out Wisconsin. And Larry has a pretty good game. Heading into the NCAA tournament, both Magic and Larry lead the Big Ten in scoring, and I was incorrect. Magic would need Sparty to make it to the second weekend, not the second round, and they bow to Louisville. Meanwhile, Larry Bird putting in work as he finally makes it out of the first weekend of the tournament with the Indiana Hoosiers, and he gets the white man's wet dream as Larry Bird led Indiana Hoosiers get to take on the Mike Krzyzewski-led Duke Blue Devils, but they were unable to bring home that win. Larry Bird as another first-team All-American selection, Conference Player of the Year, and first-team All-Big Ten to his resume, and Magic Johnson would end up adding a second-team All-American as well as a second-team All-Big Ten badge to his resume. As we get into season 3 here, I really don't like these rosters for Larry Bird. Hopefully he can prove me wrong again. Magic Johnson, his roster, I mean, they look really good, but there is a hole in it, and that's that we kind of don't have any bigs now, so Magic's going to play center. And I was right to be concerned about the Hoosiers heading into this season. Really inconsistent play from them, and not really good foreshadowing against Northwestern heading into the game against Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson has looked really well in his transition to center, picked up some really good wins against good teams, and he's looked good all season long doing it. He may even be a threat to take Conference Player of the Year from Larry Bird this year. That's just how well he's playing and moving to center. And you would have to think in real life, voters would look at that and say, yeah, I'm definitely giving this to Magic. As we get into the game, Magic making it look easy, but Bird says, hey, I can make it look just as easy too, scoring the putback bucket. Bird from deep here, showing off his 3-point range, and also getting to the basket, putting the moves on my guy from Michigan State. But Magic says I can get to the basket as well. I'm in fact already there because I play center. Bird showing off his scoring repertoire as well. We have a close game in the second half, and Magic with the dime, Bird with the putback. Bird taking it to the hole again. He's really making it look effortless. Both of these guys are. Bird really scoring at will here, and one for Larry Legend as he's trying to win in Sparty's home court for the first time of his career, and he's unable to pull it off. Michigan State wins by 2 points in this game. Magic didn't have the best game, but you can still see his impact, his fingerprints. Larry went off scoring 30 plus points. This would be our only meeting between Bird and Magic this season, as there was only one scheduled game, but the Hoosiers, right, their inconsistency issues, it would be too little too late, as Michigan State would finish strong and Magic Johnson would get a third Big Ten regular season conference title in the Big Ten tournament. Both teams would be on the upper half of the bracket, win their first round games, and face each other. After beating Indiana in the semifinals, the Michigan State Spartans would go on to face Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. And as you can see here in crunch time, where is Magic? Where's the Magic? Magic is nowhere to be found here in crunch time, as Michigan State would lose. He wasn't even in foul trouble, so I'm not sure why they kept him off the court. But here are our season stats for both Magic Johnson and Larry Bird as we go into the NCAA tournament. I'm really hoping in the NCAA tournament that Larry Bird can fix some of these performance issues in the tournament. He's not played well in March. And here, both Magic and Bird have some pretty favorable draws. They're both able to win in round one of the tournament. I decided to do some extra scouting for Bird. I really wanted him to make it to another second weekend in the tournament, but it was not to be, as Billy Donovan ends the season for Larry Bird. Magic Johnson is able to defeat Pittsburgh in round two, but not Memphis in the Sweet 16. Magic would be a second-team All-American, Conference Player of the Year, and first-team All-Conference, while Larry was first-team All-Conference as well. As we get into this final season, Magic's roster looks really good. He's not going to be able to play point guard, but back in the point forward slot, Larry, I'm sorry, big guy, like, it's the best I could do. I did not construct a great roster. And this discrepancy in roster construction would be highlighted in their in-season matchups. Magic Johnson would win the first game, dropping 28 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, and 4 steals, thoroughly dominating matchup number 1 of the senior season between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Now, Larry did have a good game, dropping 26 and 6, but as we get to matchup number 2, Larry Bird, he comes away with the win. So he gets another win against Magic Johnson, this time on his own home court. He played really well, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 block. So he played really well in this game. Magic Johnson played pretty well as well. 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 steals. So not the best game, but he did impact the game. But Magic still won the regular season championship. That's 4. Now we'll go into the Big Ten Conference Tournament. Indiana would bow out in the first round to Ohio State, whereas Michigan State and Magic Johnson would defeat Purdue in round 1 and Ohio State in round 2. They would then go on to play Illinois in the conference championship game, in which they would thoroughly dominate the Fighting Illini. Magic Johnson would have himself a pretty good game with 24 points on the day, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. And as we go into the NCAA tournament, Magic Johnson leading the Big Ten in scoring, having a really monster season. No way he's not Conference Player of the Year. He should be a first-team All-American, maybe even National Player of the Year with the way he's playing this season in his senior year. Larry Bird, however, I mean, it's not like he's playing bad. I just would have expected more. His team's not good, and I've got him taking all the shots, and he's making less of them. I mean, his percentages are lower. I just don't know. Hoping Larry makes it to the second weekend. He's gotten another pretty favorable draw, and, well, there we have it. We make it to round 2, beating Vanderbilt, but that was a bad sign. We only won by 2 points, and we did end up losing to Maryland. Tough for Larry to go out like this. Michigan State would only advance to the Sweet 16, losing to a football school in the Sweet 16. Larry Bird would add second-team All-Big Ten honors to his resume, while Magic Johnson got a Defensive Player of the Year. That's a national award, second-team All-American, Conference Player of the Year, first-team All-Conference as well. Now, as we wrap up here, I just want to touch base with you guys about some of the things I was most impressed about with this sim for both players as well as what I learned. So, Magic Johnson, he did get a DPOY and he played a really good defense. So, that was kind of impressive. I don't get many DPOYs. I really like the fact that he won the regular season conference championship all 4 years. I think that this point forward player, I think what it tells me is that this point forward mold of player is a really winning type of player in the simulations just because they can add so much to the game from many different aspects. So if you can get a really dynamic wing who can handle the ball, who can score, who can pass, who can rebound, who can just impact, put their fingerprints on the game in so many different ways, I think it'll help you in your sims a whole lot. Also, really impressive. He was 6-2 versus Larry Bird. That's pretty impressive because they were the second best team in the Big Ten all the the whole 4 years that we did this sim. And lastly, the most impressive thing is his legacy score. Has a legacy score of 84. That's more than any player I have in any of the videos so far. So right now, Magic Johnson sits atop the mountain as the best player that I've had in any of these videos. It's pretty cool. Now, the Larry Bird portion of this sim, I will say it was rather disappointing. He scored pretty well, even though he didn't do it as well later in the simulation. But I kind of put that on me just because I don't think he had the right pieces around him to score or win. He's not as ball dominant, or I guess ball dominant is not the word. He doesn't have the skill level to be able to get his own shot in this game the same way that Magic Johnson could. So that's kind of why I think it played out the way that it did. So I really needed to build a better roster around this type of player, and I didn't. So whenever I'm going forward playing the game, it lets me know that if I have a point forward versus a stretch four uh, type of player that I'm recruiting, how they can be useful, and which player is going to be better independent of what's around them. So I think that'll help us a lot in our sims going forward, and you guys can use that information as well. I do believe that's something that's true in the game because I've kind of seen it in my other simulations where you have this dynamic wing playing the 3 or the 4 that can just be a game changer on many different fronts. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Please continue to watch, like, comment, subscribe. Particularly comment because I like talking about this game a lot, and I like when you guys talk to me in the comments.